Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keisha Adderley. Hope you're enjoying your Whit Monday holiday. Topping the news tonight, just 2.5 weeks into its governance, the Progressive Liberal Party will present the 2012-2013 budget to Parliament on Wednesday. Yesterday, Prime Minister Perry Christie and members of his cabinet met to finalize budget allocations. Minister with responsibility for financial services, Ryan's fiscal blueprint for the fiscal year ahead.
Having recently came into power, government officials say don't expect Wednesday's budget to be much different from the last 5 years, but emphasis will be on crime, education, and investing in the economy.
They spent more than they said they were going to spend. They collected less than they said they were going to collect. So I think it's safe to say that coming off of the prior administration and us obtaining government so soon, close to the budget year, that something similar is to be expected.
During last year's budget, new government programs like the National Job Readiness Program, the Jumpstart Program, and the Self-Starters Program was implemented. When asked if these programs will continue, MP for Elizabeth Ryan Pinder, who has responsibility for financial services, says the government is keen on continuing to invest in Bahamians.
I don't know that the specifics of what's going to be kept and not kept. Just using an example of how the Prime Minister governs when he gained the power in 2002 and found a number of temporary workers whose contracts were expiring. In the challenging economic environment in 2002, the Prime Minister made the conscientious decision to keep a number of those, if not all of those, employed, even though their contracts were expiring, because you couldn't add to the unemployment lines.
As for the new programs the PLP promised, if elected, to implement, like Urban Renewal 2.0 and its crime plan, Pinder says it's a must that they become a reality.
We have to address crime. We have to address strengthening our communities. We have to address the standard of living in many of our communities in the country. All of that is interconnected with crime. Because as we put those plans in place, we also have to expand the tax base and the government revenues, the jobs and the career opportunities for Bahamians. I think that any responsible government wouldn't come into government and say, our economic model is what it is. You always look for new opportunities. You always think outside the box, and you strategize and you plan, then you put those plans in place.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS News.
If you were up and about today, then you may have noticed the heavy police presence on the streets of the capital today. This is divisional commanders and their officers were posted at strategic points on the island to maintain law and order this Whit Monday holiday. The media accompanied Assistant Police Commissioner responsible for uniformed operations, Leon Bethel, and a complement of officers as they toured the island, monitoring activity in each area. This is how Mr. Bethel described the mission.
This operations that we engage in now is a preventative one. We've had a number of serious crimes, and we want to go out, and we have been going out, but a lot of times the public sometimes don't know what's going on, so we want to show that all of the commanders from the different sections of New Providence are out on the weekend, in the evenings, in the night, and on public holidays like this.
Now, we're still awaiting the results of a vote of no confidence taken by employees of the National Insurance Board on Friday past against management of the board led by Director Algernon Cargill. Now, members of the Public Managers and Public Officers Union participated in the vote after more than 3 years of trying to, quote, work things out, end quote. Union officials tell us they'll be tallying the results this evening. Meanwhile, Cargill is defending the way he manages the organization, stating that his focus has always been providing optimum customer service.
To deliver a high level of service to the Bahamian public, we have to hold employees accountable for the results as well as accountable for a high level of service. Then I would accept whatever feedback employees now have. But there has been overwhelming.
In other news tonight, former Deputy Prime Minister and Deputy Leader of the Free National Movement made a farewell address during a weekend convention held by the party. Mr. Simonet thanked former Prime Minister, his parliamentary colleague, the Right Honourable Hubert Ingram, and party supporters for their overwhelming support during his 7 years as deputy. He announced that his decision to defer a 2012 election bid was to ensure that the party's new faces emerge.
I have been involved in the front line of the FNM.
He apologized for having a problem with that story. In other news, however, reports reaching our newsroom this past weekend indicated that the former National Security Minister and Member of Parliament for Mount Moriah, Tommy Turnquest, had announced to his constituents during a meeting last week, Tuesday, his intention of leaving politics. But when we asked Mr. Turnquest about that statement, he clarified that he announced his intentions of not seeking representation in the Senate or the party level. Here's his explanation.
I have been involved in the front line of the FNM from I was president of the Torchbearers in 1981, 31 years ago, that I am an FNM to the core. I will do all in my power to ensure that the FNM remains a vibrant organization, that the FNM does what is necessary to return to government.
Progressive Liberal Party National Chairman Bradley Roberts has responded to the convention address of new Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis. In a press release issued today, Mr. Roberts says the country overwhelmingly rejected the policy of the FNM and former Prime Minister the Right Honourable Hubert Ingram. Policies, he says, that didn't do enough to stop a decline in the overall standard of living and made the worldwide economic downturn worse for Bahamians. Mr. Roberts added that even though Dr. Minnis says the FNM would not oppose for the sake of opposing, that he then committed a large portion of his speech to do just that. Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, a holiday could have gone terribly wrong for a small child, but 2 men saved the day. We'll have that story coming up.